Wow, what an adventure that was. Quick recap, I just returned from a bucket list trip around southern Germany with my friend Elise, visiting Christmas markets and a few other adventures sprinkled in. Everything was so jam-packed, and then returning home and quickly trying to do 3 loads of laundry, get my life together, go to work, and then prepare for the Christmas season, I really haven't had a lot of time to process everything. So I posted on my Instagram and Facebook page to ask me questions about my trip to kind of help get things going. And I'm super excited, and thank you so much for everyone who asked me a question either through that venue or through text message or direct message. And I apologize in advance if I don't get to your question. There were a lot. I tried to group a lot of them together that were kind of along the same vein. And if I don't get to your question, go ahead and leave it in the comments below, and I'll either answer it there or I'll include it in a blog post that I'm working on right now to kind of put this whole adventure together. So to start things off, I thought I would read out a couple of facts about the trip to kind of put everything into perspective. And I have everything on my phone because I'm, again, still trying to process everything. Okay, so we slept in 8 different beds, in 4 different hostels, 2 different hotels, and an Airbnb while staying in 7 different cities. We averaged 15,000 steps a day walking. Some days we hit over 17,000. We consumed a total of 23 glasses of Kinder Punch, 1 alcohol-free Glühwein, and 2 glasses of the best hot chocolate of our lives. We entered 3 different churches and got locked in one of them. We visited 11 different Christmas markets in 5 different cities and 1 castle. We took rides on 4 flights with 3 different airlines, then rode in 8 buses, 5 shuttles, 1 taxi, 1 streetcar. We then rode the train over 50 times, totaling over 500 miles. Ooh, I averaged about 5 hours of sleep a night and have 0 regrets. So that wraps up my first half of December. Now let's get to the questions because I'm so excited to share this with you. So first off, I got a lot of questions about how I picked the cities we went to, how I picked the markets, and kind of what my overall planning process was. So as far as the cities we went to, we flew in and out of Munich. We had a quick layover in Paris on the way there. We traveled to Nuremberg, Rothenburg, Ob der Tauber, Ludwigsburg, Stuttgart, Tübingen, Hechingen, and then Amsterdam. We had an 18-hour layover on the way home. Once I know the location that I'm traveling to, in this case southern Germany, I look at the cost of flights. It was a toss-up which city we were going to be in, whether it was Munich or whether it was going to be Stuttgart, because I wanted to be in the south of Germany, and really what it boiled down to was the price of the flights. It was going to be significantly cheaper to fly in and out of Munich, and the train distance between Munich and Stuttgart on the fast ICE train was only about 2 hours, so it really just came down to money at that point. So once I settled on Munich, I kind of drew a circle around Munich with a 4-hour radius to see what was around and what was going to be easily accessible. We didn't want to spend all day traveling. And so then what I did was I just kind of planned out a couple different itineraries just to start looking at what was going to be possible for us, what we were going to be able to do in the time frame without getting too exhausted, but still being able to have as much fun and as many adventures as we could pack into this trip. One thing that I want to point out is that I was extremely intentional about the markets we went to and the cities that we visited. I didn't want to just go someplace just to go. It wasn't an arbitrary decision. Most cities in Europe around Christmas time have these markets, and a lot of them are the same, but there are some that stick out that have a little bit different twists, whether they're the most Baroque, whether they are the oldest in the country, whether they are the biggest, whether they focus on a different nationality aside from German. We went to a Finnish market in Stuttgart, which was really cool. And that was a really big draw for us. Okay, so the next question was, are you going to try to visit another country while you're there? No, we intentionally didn't plan on country hopping. We wanted to go to German Christmas markets. I intentionally planned an 18-hour layover on the way home in Amsterdam, so we did get to the Netherlands. We did get to experience another country and experience some culture there. But this was a German trip, and maybe next time we'll country hop. Are the markets enclosed buildings, or are they open air like a farmer's market? They are open air, but each vendor is enclosed in a cute wooden hut so that their items are protected from the elements. And as you can see, these are just a few pictures of some of my favorites. What kinds of things do they have at the markets? Items that you can purchase, we saw everything from cleaning and household supplies to ornaments, figurines, jewelry, clothing, candles, drinks, craftsmen with very specific, unique items that were really cool, and just tons and tons of food. Some markets specialize in a type of food or a type of craft. Nuremberg is known for prune people. The Pink Christmas Market in Munich is the most popular LGBT market with novelty items. And then each city has a beautiful manger display that you can find. Most of the markets also have a section for kids with games, toys, and activities. Some markets also have concerts and shows, which when we were in Ludwigsburg, we just happened to come upon this grassroots rock band playing Christmas songs, and it was so much fun. Some markets also have ice skating rinks, and we got to actually go curling in one of them in the Finnish market in Stuttgart. So I got a lot of questions about what I was shopping for or what I was going to be purchasing. One thing you need to know about me is that I am not a shopper. I do not enjoy shopping. I do not enjoy buying souvenirs, especially when I travel, because I choose to travel very lightly. I pack only carry-on, especially this trip because I was going to have a lot of extra layers, a lot of bulky items. I was very limited on what I can purchase. I usually buy some postcards to send to family and close friends. I always buy a magnet for a couple people when I go, and those things are very small. This trip, I bought a lot of chocolate, and I also got to keep the mugs. When you buy a hot beverage at the market, you can pay a deposit to get a mug. If you like the mug, you keep it and you forfeit the deposit. So I ended up with, I think, 10 mugs. I also picked up a few really small ornaments, and I actually bought one of the prune people that I found in Nuremberg because it was so cute. How could you not? I know that takes so much time to make, and it's beautiful, and it's only gonna last 1 year, but he was so delicate. Like, I had to hold him in my hand when we were traveling on the train because I didn't want him to break. And then I actually scrounged around in the garbage in Ludwigsburg and found a small box just to keep him safe. He made it home safe and sound. He is now living on the mantle downstairs. Okay, I got a question about making the long distance flights easier or less stressful. I personally try to have longer layovers between flights for a lot of reasons. One, you can walk around a little bit more, kind of stretch out a little bit, get some food, and it also helps with the stress because if you have an international connection, when you have those tight layovers, you're running. And I've been that person on the airplane before where you've run through the airport because you had a 45-minute layover in Amsterdam and thought that was a good idea, and then you get on the airplane and you're sweating and you're gross and you're that person that your seatmate doesn't want to be next to. My last big tip, especially if you're traveling with people, is try to book a seat where it's just you. So, for example, the flights to and from or out and back to Salt Lake City, they were on the jets that had a 2-4-2 seating configuration. And since it was two of us, I booked us in one of the 2-seat configurations. We were right next to the bathroom, so it wasn't that awkward, like, oh my gosh, there's somebody in the bathroom. You could see there's somebody in the bathroom, or there's not somebody in the bathroom. It's okay to get up. So if you can, try to book your seats together with nobody else. That way, it's familiarity. Elise was sitting in the aisle. She has longer legs than I do. I knew that if she fell asleep and I needed to get up and go to the bathroom, I could gently wake her up and it wouldn't be awkward and weird. Those are my tips. What do you drink in Germany if you don't want to drink beer but still get the German experience? So I'm going to answer this in two parts. So at Christmas markets, you can get non-alcoholic drinks and they're listed alcohol-free on like the drink list on the menu because there are kids There are people who don't drink alcohol. There are people who can't drink alcohol that attend these markets, and it's all about inclusivity. Yeah. So you can, one stall I did find alcohol-free Glühwein, which is mulled wine, but instead of it being wine, it was just grape juice. They do have something called Kinder Punch, which is kind of like a spiced cider with fruits and herbs, or not herbs, spices and like teas. That's also really good. They have also just straight apple cider. You can find hot chocolate at places. You can find tea and coffee at places. Now, if you're traveling to Germany, not in the Christmas season or just basically any other time of year, it's really popular to find fruit juices. My experience is that a lot of German people love drinking fruit juice, so you can have fruit juice. Mineral water is huge with gas, is kind of how it translates. So having mineral water is really good. Coffee and tea are also big. The cool thing is you can find all sorts of different kinds of drinks that aren't beer if that's the way that you want to go. And the German people are really cool about it. Like, if you choose not to drink, you don't have to worry about not being accepted. When we were at the Mexican restaurant in Rothenburg, our sweet waitress came over with 2 shots of something, and she was like, "Do you guys drink?" And we were like, "No, we don't drink." And she's like, "Oh, okay." And she took it back, and then she brought us suckers because she wanted us to have like a nightcap. It was really sweet. So it's really not a big deal if you don't drink beer at all. You're gonna be fine. And even just being there and having water is still a very German experience. Which concentration camps have you visited? So back in 2014, when I studied abroad in Germany, before I started my program, I went to Poland and I visited Birkenau and Auschwitz. This trip, I visited Dachau, even though I swore to myself I wasn't gonna go to another concentration camp, not because I don't think that they should be visited, but I still remember and still feel all the feelings that I experienced back in 2014, and it was a very heavy trip. Didn't help that I did them back to back and going on no sleep, but anyway, I've been to 3 concentration camps. Was it cold? Yes. Oh my goodness, I think I have a picture of what I wore. I wore 2 pairs of pants, usually 2 tops plus a jacket and a coat with a hat. I think I wore a scarf once, but that was a little too hot for me, and gloves, and just my running shoes because those were the most comfortable ones that I had. It was really cold. It was, on average, it was 1 to 2 degrees. We were out every night walking around, so we did have the blood pumping through our bodies, but it was still really, really cold, especially when we had to wait for a bus, and then it did snow a couple of the days, so that was even colder. It was magical. It was very magical, but it was very, very cold. And if you know me at all, you know that I don't get cold very easily. I was freezing. So, Germany at Christmas time, really cold. Got a lot of questions about the food, such as, how is it? What was my favorite thing that I've eaten? Did I eat anything weird? I have a lot to say about that. So, German food, for the most part, tends to be a little bit heavier. You find that is true in the Caucasus and Eastern Europe. It's really delicious. I love sausages and sauerkraut. So one of the best things that I did eat was sausage and sauerkraut in Nuremberg, in the old city. I'd say the best thing that I ate, they're called, I'm gonna mispronounce it, Quarkballen. So quark is like a really thick yogurt that's used a lot in German and Scandinavian cooking. It's just a really thick yogurt that helps moisten cakes and things. And they're essentially, these balls were like donut holes. They were a little bit bigger than donut holes as I know them as an American. And they were so soft and spongy on the inside. It was like eating a pillow. It was so, 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 so good. 2 really cool things that I ate that I wanted to bring up was when we were in Paris, we had a layover, and right next to our gate was a macaron stand. So of course I got macarons, and I got really weird ones. I think one tasted like a pine tree, or I think it was called fir tree. And then there was another one, it was called Marie Antoinette tea, but it was good. And having macarons in Paris, even though I was just in the airport, was still a really awesome culinary experience just a really awesome culinary adventure that I'm super, super fortunate to have had. Another awesome thing was I had my first roasted chestnut. There are stands all over the markets selling roasted chestnuts that they are literally roasting on an open fire, like the song says. And when they're ready, they do pop, 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 like the song says. They pop open kind of like mussels and clams when they're ready. And having a hot chestnut on our last night in Munich was super special. Chestnuts are really good. They are nutty, so they're a little bit drier, but they are really sweet and soft, and would highly recommend getting them. Now, as far as an interesting thing that I ate, there's a lot of stands in the markets that sell like dipped fruit, dipped marshmallows, chocolate dipped fruit and marshmallows, but they also have chocolate dipped chili peppers. So I had to get it. I think I had it twice. I think I had it once in Nuremberg, and then I got it again in Stuttgart because I wanted just to make sure that it was as hot and spicy as I remember, and it was super hot and spicy. Okay, that's a lot of questions. Again, I'm sorry if I didn't get to your question or if I didn't answer it correctly. If you want to know more information, you can just leave a comment below. I can't wait to share more of my adventures with you. So, till our next one. See ya.